Tracking, alerting, protecting. This is WKYT News at 5.
A Lexington man is accused of trying to intimidate his neighbors so they won't testify against him in court.
A baby is now in the hospital after police say her father intentionally shook her. He's now in jail charged with criminal abuse.
A college student diagnosed with brain cancer is fighting for his life, and his family is asking for help through prayer.
WKYT News at 5 starts now. A Lexington father pleading not guilty in court this afternoon. He's accused of abusing his infant daughter.
An arrest citation states Darnell Tagaloa shook his 4-month-old daughter because she was crying. Now the baby is in the hospital with serious injuries. WKYT's Jerica Insco has the latest on the case. That's our top story at 5.
A baby is now in the hospital after police say her father intentionally shook her. He's now in jail charged with criminal abuse. An arrest citation from Lexington police states 27-year-old Darnell Tagaloa shook his 4-month-old daughter because she was crying. Police state on that citation that the incident caused her serious physical injury, and the infant's injuries include bleeding of her eyes and a severe head injury, putting her at UK hospital according to that citation. We have found out that it happened at his home on Kennesaw Lane on Sunday. He was arrested yesterday and was arraigned in court today, pleading not guilty to that first-degree criminal abuse charge. His family was in court but did not want to comment on this case. Coming up at 6, you'll hear from a child abuse center here in Lexington about cases like this. Jerica Insco, WKYT.
Darnell Tagaloa is in jail. His bond set at $6,000. His preliminary hearing has been scheduled for October 2nd.
State police arrested a Lexington man after troopers say they found child pornography images in his home. 35-year-old David Browning was arrested at his home on Cornwall Drive. He provided police with computers and storage devices that had hundreds of images of child porn. The arresting officer says that at least 17 images involved children under 8. Browning faces 12 charges of possession of matter portraying a sexual performance by a minor.
We're tracking another violent twist in a feud between Lexington neighbors. Earlier this month, police arrested 41-year-old Brian Judson for shooting up his neighbor's car. Now he's back behind bars accused of threatening them. WKYT's Mark Barber has more in this Crime Tracker report.
Investigators say Brian Judson sat in his driveway here on Wilson Downing Road and acted like he had a gun to intimidate his neighbors from testifying against him. Other neighbors tell me that now they won't even let their children walk to school because they're worried about their safety. The arrest warrant says a married couple who lives on the 300 block of Wilson Downing Road called police Tuesday when they saw their neighbor staring at their home. Investigators say 41-year-old Brian Judson was sitting in his driveway, acting like he was armed with a gun. We're told the tension between the neighbors is not new. According to the arrest warrant, Judson has threatened to kill the couple before. Back on September 1st, police told us Judson fired several shots at their car when it was parked behind their house. We're told he was released from jail last week and was ordered to have no contact with his neighbors. The shooting case will go before a grand jury, and that's why police believe he was trying to keep his neighbors from testifying. Judson is now charged with intimidating a person in the legal process. Those who live nearby think it's gone too far.
I don't even let my grandson or my granddaughters go to walk to school anymore. It's just a very frightening feeling.
Judson denied our request to do an interview at the Fayette County Detention Center. He is being held on a $5,000 bond. In Lexington, Mark Barber, WKYT.
Police tell us one of Judson's neighbors moved out of her house this week because she doesn't feel safe in her home anymore.
In our county-by-county coverage at 5, we're tracking stories in Warren, Shelby, and Laurel counties. We begin in Warren County, and that's where police say they're searching for a man who's believed to be armed and dangerous. Police say that this man right here is wanted for questioning in a felony case out of Pennsylvania and was in a car wreck in Bowling Green this morning. Warren County schools were on lockdown as a precaution. Police say he is still on the run. In Shelby County, 3 fire departments battled a house fire this morning. The homeowner tells a Louisville TV station that someone with a local water company saw that the home was on fire and called it in. It took over an hour and between 25 and 30 firefighters to put this fire out. No one was injured. It is not considered suspicious. And in Laurel County, a Maryland fugitive was arrested. The sheriff's office tells us that Patrick Johnson was caught late last night just south of London. Johnson was wanted in Maryland for stealing a truck. Deputies recovered the truck a few miles from the home where he was arrested. He's now waiting to be sent back to Maryland.
We are tracking beautiful weather across the bluegrass, and the sunny skies are set to continue into the weekend. WKYT Chief Meteorologist Chris Bailey has a first look at the forecast. Another great day, Chris.
Yeah, it really is. We continue to be doing something right in order to get this beautiful weather out there over the past couple of weeks, and it rolls on into our Thursday evening. A little look-see outside will show beautiful sunny skies into Covington, Frankfort, Richmond, Jackson, everybody into the mid and upper 70s this afternoon. Live First Alert Defender. I know we're showing it to you because it just drives home the point that I have nothing to show you in terms of rainfall. Mild evening that is out there. If you're out and about, low to mid 70s right before sundown. A fairly decent drop into the 60s, just not as quick of a drop as what we've become accustomed to over the past couple of nights. By 11 o'clock, it's upper 50s to around 60 degrees. As we focus on the forecast that's ahead of us, I've got some warmth and I've got a little bit of wet weather beginning to show up in that weekend outlook. And we'll take you into the weekend with the all-important hour-by-hour forecast, and we'll watch the Gulf of Mexico and show you how that weather may impact the stuff that we see coming from the skies by Sunday and Monday.
The third American aid worker to get Ebola was released from the hospital today.
And at the United Nations, President Obama called for global action on the deadly epidemic, saying the U.S. cannot fight it alone. Alfonso Van Marsh has the latest from the UN.
We are not moving fast enough. We are not doing enough.
President Obama sounded the alarm on the Ebola epidemic at a high-level UN meeting. The president warned the fast-spreading outbreak, which has killed nearly 3,000 people and sickened at least 6,200 more in West Africa, will get worse before it gets better.
Everybody's got to move fast in order for us to make a difference. And if we do, we'll save hundreds of thousands of lives.
President Obama has sent 3,000 troops to Liberia to set up Ebola treatment facilities and training teams. And today, Congress approved the use of leftover Afghanistan war money to start funding the president's billion-dollar request to fight the epidemic.
In Nebraska today, Dr. Rick Sacra was released from the hospital after a month-long battle against Ebola.
The CDC has declared me safe and free of virus. Thank God, I love you all.
Dr. Sacra was treated with an experimental drug and also a serum made from the blood plasma of Dr. Kent Brantley, another American doctor who recently beat the virus. Sacra says after he builds up his strength, there's a good chance he may return to Liberia. Alfonso Van Marsh, CBS News, the United Nations.
A fourth American is being treated for Ebola in Atlanta.
President Obama has accepted the resignation of U.S. Attorney General Eric Holder. The president said during a White House ceremony this afternoon that it was a bittersweet moment. Holder has served as Attorney General for 6 years, seeing his fair share of controversy with Operation Fast and Furious dealing with Mexican drug cartels, and in Ferguson, Missouri, launching a federal probe into the death of an unarmed teenager.
Not just in Ferguson, but in many neighborhoods across this country. We can't allow these tensions to go unresolved.
Holder will remain at his post as Attorney General until a successor is confirmed.
This is a heartbreaking story. A Lexington student continues to battle brain cancer, and his family is asking for help. They're not asking for donations to help pay for his multiple treatments. They're asking for everyone to keep Will Crawford in their thoughts and prayers. Our Sam Smith has the story that's new at 5.
When we got that phone call, it was probably like one of the worst calls of our life.
Bill and Lisa Crawford will never forget waking up at 1 in the morning back in the winter of 2012 with the news that their son suddenly lost the feeling in half his body. Will Crawford was in Texas with his band at the time. Doctors there found a fast-growing tumor in his brain.
The cancer is just taking over his body, and he is now no longer able to walk or talk.
There's no cure, just treatment. And unfortunately, options are limited at this point.
They can only give him so much before they have to stop treatment, because then the treatment becomes worse than the cancer.
2 weeks ago, the Pray for Will movement started online. Organizers say 10 to 15,000 people have visited prayforwill.com. hopefully including him in their prayers to help make his life more comfortable.
We are getting answers to other prayers. He is not in any pain at all. He's on no pain medication. He's not nauseous, so he feels all right.
All through it, he has said, I know what's going to happen if I die. I know where I'm going, and I know that I know if I stay here, it'll be good too. So he was basically saying it's good if I go or good if I stay.
Will turns 23 next week. His family will continue to hope his health improves and will welcome any spiritual support. In Lexington, Sam Smith, WKYT.
Well, so young. If you would like to learn how to help out with Will Crawford or how you can help his family, just go to WKYT.com.
New details about the man charged in the case of missing UVA college student Hannah Graham. That's coming up on WKYT News at 5.
Also ahead, an explosion of violence in Ferguson, Missouri that's bringing back tensions still simmering in that small community.
And coming up on WKYT News at 5:30, some children still don't have a classroom after a Lincoln County fire. See how the community is helping out.
Now, your hour-by-hour forecast with Chief Meteorologist Chris Bailey and First Alert Defender.
Beautiful weather rolls on across central and eastern Kentucky this afternoon. Our sky being greeted by a couple of visitors in the form of some fair weather clouds that are out there. You've got one or two showing up on top of Hamburg Pavilion. I tend to call it just a little flavoring to our skyline across the region. Nothing to write home about. Temperatures upper 70s again this afternoon into most of bluegrass country. 80 Cynthiana, 78 into the Owen County area. Around Cave Run Lake, 77, 77 into West Liberty, pushing 80 in a couple of spots across southern Kentucky. Right on top of Barberville here into Knox County, then back toward the Lake Cumberland area. Those thermometers, as expected, tickling 80 degrees. We're going to do it again over the next couple of days. Defender continues with a dry sweep. Should stay that way for the most part over the next couple of days. Your 24-hour planner for Friday. Looking good. Low 50s to start, pushing 80 by the end of the day. That's a warm one. It's warm again on Saturday to start out the weekend. 80 degrees for a very warm day. Second half of Sunday, we'll see a little more cloud cover into town. Temperatures scaling back a little bit, and we'll watch the threat for a shower or two. Better chances the farther south that we go. This hour-by-hour forecast will take you through the upcoming weekend. Tomorrow, we're A-OK. Saturday, there's a little more in the way of clouds, but this low pressure that is across parts of the Gulf of Mexico and deep south really not going to influence our weather until we get into Sunday. Some more clouds streaming to the north, and by the end of the day, Sunday, a shower or two will try to break out across parts of southern and southeastern Kentucky. Latest indications are that a lot of the heavier rains that we were looking at yesterday trying to get into Kentucky may stay just to our south into the volunteer state of Tennessee. So that Sunday forecast, for the most part, is mainly a dry one early in the day. UK football forecast. We got Vandy in town on Saturday for a noon kickoff at around 74. Second half will warm it up close to 80 degrees. Very warm with a little bit of cloud cover. And if you're especially on the sunny side of things, you definitely want to wear a little sunscreen. Even though it's later in the season, now we're into fall, you stay outdoors for an extended period of time, you're going to get a little sunburn no matter what time of year it is. 79 for a high tomorrow, pushing low 80s in a few spots across southern Kentucky. That extended forecast, as expected, a late day shower on Sunday is a possibility. A lot of dry times, though, for Sunday. Shower chance Monday. This is not looking like a washout right now. Back into the upper 70s to around 80 middle and into next week when a little stronger system impacts the area by next Thursday and Friday. But yeah, short term, what is boring in my world is great for the rest of the world out there, huh?
That's right. It's a broken record, but we are not complaining.
At least a broken record isn't about just day after day after day after rain, right?
That's right.
Yeah,
I do not feel sorry for you.
I know. It's a tough life, right?
Yeah. WKYT is tracking the latest on the war on ISIS. We will show you the plans for airstrikes throughout Syria.
Follow WKYT online at WKYT.com. Join the conversation on Twitter and become a part of the WKYT Facebook family.
Here's Here's a look at the most viewed stories on our website right now. People want to know about enterovirus, which continues to spread.
They're also interested in a lucky Californian who won $225 million and a Good Samaritan who had a gun pulled on him in Lexington.
You can find those stories and much more right now on WKYT.com.
Tonight, a Syrian group says that U.S. and Arab airstrikes killed at least 14 militants and 5 civilians in Syria overnight. The Syrian Observatory for Human Rights says that an ISIS command building and training camp was hit. The raids also targeted mobile oil refineries. Black market oil is a major source of funding for ISIS and its operations. Fighter jets from Saudi Arabia and the UAE flew alongside the U.S. jets in those overnight strikes.
Unrest continues in Ferguson, Missouri, as a grand jury reviews evidence in the shooting of unarmed teenager Michael Brown by a police officer. Protesters are demanding the immediate removal of the prosecutor because of what they call his own personal bias. But Bob McCullough says he's not going anywhere.
I know what it's like to lose a loved one to violence, and so I know what that feeling is. If it causes me to lean one way or the other, it causes me to lean towards victims of violence.
McCullough says jurors are hearing from every witness and seeing every piece of evidence. He says it will eventually be made public.
A man believed to be involved in the disappearance of a University of Virginia student is in custody. 32-year-old Jesse Matthew appeared in a Texas courtroom today. He faces a charge of being a fugitive from justice. Matthew was arrested earlier this week in connection to the disappearance of Hannah Graham. She's a sophomore who vanished 2 weeks ago. Police say Matthew was the last person seen with Graham on surveillance video.
We've searched his apartment, we've searched his vehicle, we've taken clothing from the apartment, and of course, we're searching very aggressively with respect to that vehicle to see what, if any, evidence might be there.
Police Chief Longo says they also continue to search aggressively for Hannah Graham.
Louisville Slugger is retiring the line of bats used by Derek Jeter. They say they'll stop producing the P-72 bats Jeter used throughout his career. Instead, an identical line of bats will be named for Jeter, the DJ-72. He used more than 2,500 P-72 bats throughout his career. The Yankees were eliminated from a chance at the playoffs last night. That means Jeter's last game will be Sunday.
A Central Kentucky food bank did a study. They are trying to better serve people in the bluegrass. God's Pantry found that 190,000 people in central and eastern Kentucky rely on a food pantry. They say they're trying to help people suffering from hard choices. That includes people who have to decide whether to pay their rent, electric, or buy food.
It is critical for us to understand who's in need and what the challenges are that they're faced with and how they're coping with these challenges.
The study also found that the face of hunger is one that we might recognize because people who use food assistance have jobs.
Women's weight gain could put them at a greater risk for breast cancer. We'll take a look at a new study.
And coming up on WKYT News at 5:30, we'll show you how Vietnam veterans were honored during a 50th anniversary commemoration today in Frankfurt.
It's time for Better Living, health, education, and consumer news that impacts your life. Going up one skirt size every 10 years could make women more likely to get breast cancer. Researchers say weight gain could make women more than 30% more likely to get breast cancer after menopause. A study of more than 90,000 women revealed women who grew in the waistline and went up 2 skirt sizes per decade had a 77% greater risk of breast cancer. When it comes to treating teens for anorexia, family-based therapies are twice as effective as individual therapy. That's according to eating disorder researchers at Stanford University. They studied 164 teens and found parents could learn to help their anorexic children get to a healthy weight and eat normally again. A new study finds people tend to drink more on days when they're more physically active. Nearly 200 people between the ages of 18 and 89 were studied. Results show people tended to be more active and drink more alcohol between Thursdays and Sundays. They say people who exercise do not drink more overall. They just tend to drink more on the days they're more active. Student loan debt is having a big impact on the housing market. It's preventing millions of millennials from buying their first homes. Student loan debt has caused an 8% drop in home purchases among Americans ages 20 to 39. That represents an estimated $83 billion loss for the real estate industry. The total outstanding student loan debt is now at $1.1 trillion. Walmart wants to be your bank. They're teaming up with Green Dot to provide mobile checking accounts to anyone at least 18 years old with an ID and a smartphone. Walmart is enticing them with perks including no minimum balance, no overdraft fees, and no bounced check fees. Hollywood movie makers may be allowed to fly drones. The Federal Aviation Administration is expected to announce today that 7 movie and TV production companies will get drone permits. The unmanned drones would be used only on closed sets. How about unlimited vacation? The new perk is at Virgin Group. Its founder, Richard Branson, says if working 9 to 5 no longer applies for many workers, why should strict vacation policies? For more health, education, and consumer news, go to WKYT.com and click on Better Living. Now here's what's coming up at 5:30.